In this video, you're going to learn how to work with the rational root theorem to find the possible rational roots and how to test them to find all the roots of the polynomial function. So we're going to go through 5 examples together. Let's dive in, see if you can do some of these problems on your own, and we'll go through them together. So the idea behind the rational root theorem is sometimes when you have a polynomial, you're not able to factor it. So you're not able to find those x-intercepts or those zeros. So what you can do is if the coefficients, meaning the numbers here in front of the variables and this constant term are all integers, then if you have rational roots, they're going to be of the form factors of the constant divided by the factors of the leading coefficient. So I'll show you what I mean in this example here. So you would take the numbers that go into 6, the integers that go into 6, like in this case that would be plus or minus 1, 2, 3, or 6. Okay, it can be positive or negative, divided by all the factors of the leading coefficient, this number here in front, which in this case is just 1. And it can be any numerator with any denominator. Now in this case, anything divided by 1 is itself, but if this was, let's say, for example, like a 2, it could be 1 or 2, and then you could have like 1/2 or 3/2. So it's any one of these numerators with any one of these denominators, positive or negative. So those are the possible rational roots. And so what we're going to do is we're going to test them to see if these are indeed zeros or roots of this polynomial. So let's go ahead and start by doing some synthetic division. So if I want to test to see if 1 over 1 is a root, we set up our synthetic division where we use the coefficients in front of the variables here. If there's any missing terms, you want to make sure you put a 0 or a placeholder. And you drop down that first number and you multiply on the diagonal and you add straight down. And you multiply on the diagonal and you add straight down, and you multiply on the diagonal and you add straight down. And if this last number comes out to 0, that tells you that 1 is a 0 or a root of the polynomial. Now in this case it didn't work out, so let's try -1. So I'm going to test -1. Same coefficients here. Drop down that first number, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal. When we add straight down, see how we have 0 remainder? That tells us that -1 is a 0, or a root, or a solution, or an x-intercept. Those all are synonyms. And that also takes this polynomial down from a 3rd degree to a 2nd degree. So this becomes x squared minus 5x plus 6. So it always goes down by 1 degree. Now in this form here, you can see that we can factor this. So this is what two numbers multiply to 6, but add to -5. That's going to be -3 and -2. And you can take it one step further. If -1 is a 0, x minus -1 is a factor. So that would be x plus 1, because the two negatives cancel. And if you set these factors to 0, you're going to get -1, which we got here, +2, and +3. And if you were to graph this polynomial, what this is going to look like is it's going to cross the x-axis at -1. It's going to cross here at 2 and 3. And you already probably learned that the leading coefficient's positive, so it's going to go up to the right. The degree is odd, it's going to go the opposite direction to the left. And if you wanted to draw like a rough sketch of this polynomial, it would look something like that. So we were able to find all the zeros, but it starts with using the rational root theorem to narrow down basically the possible rational roots. So let's take a look at another example and we'll discuss this a little bit further. Okay, let's try example number 2 now. This one's a little bit different because the leading coefficient's not 1. But notice that all the coefficients are integers. You don't see any square root of 3's here in front or i's like imaginary. They're all integers, including the constant. So what we can do is we can use our rational root theorem. We take all the factors of the constant, that's this number here. So everything that goes into 3, which would be plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 3, divided by all the factors of the leading coefficient, which in this case are just going to be plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 2. So again, any numerator with any denominator. So it could be 1 or -1, 1/2 or -1/2, 3 or -3, 3/2 or -3/2. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off. I usually pick small numbers to start off with, so I'm maybe try like 1. Okay, and so you can see here's our coefficients. Again, remember, if there's any missing terms, you want to put a 0 or a placeholder. Sometimes there can be 2 missing terms or 3 missing terms, so you'd have to put multiple placeholders or zeros. So again, what you want to do is you drop down that first number, you multiply on the diagonal. Okay, so 1 times 2 is 2, and you add straight down, that's 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Add straight down, that's 7. Multiply on the diagonal, add straight down. So basically, you're always dropping down that first number, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down until you get to this last number. If it's 0, that tells you that that number is a 0 or an x-intercept, a root, or a solution, right? But in this case, it didn't work out. So let's go ahead and try another one. And the one challenge is finding those initial zeros so that you can bring it down from a cubic or a quartic or a higher degree polynomial to a lower degree, where we can then factor it or do the quadratic formula to find the remaining zeros. Now in this problem, let's go ahead and try 1/2, okay? So we've got 2, -1, I'm just using the same coefficients, okay? Drop down that first number, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, see how we're getting 0 remainder. Now, you can do the synthetic division. You can also put it in directly, you know, and for x, you will also get 0. This is just a quicker way to do it, the synthetic method. But again, this brings us down from a cubic to a quadratic, so it brings it down by 1 degree. And 0x, this is really like nothing, so I could write this as 2x squared plus 6. If I set that equal to 0, I can solve for our other zeros here. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. That comes out to 2x squared equals -6. Divide both sides by 2. Running out of space here, so x squared is equal to -3. Take the square root of both sides. Remember, when we take the square root of both sides, we get 2 answers, plus or minus. And square root of a negative gives us I for imaginary, square root of 3. So you can see our zeros here are 1/2, I root 3, and -I root 3. Now, one thing you'll notice is that if the coefficients are all real, okay, you don't see any i's, imaginary numbers here, then if you get imaginary zeros or x-intercepts or solutions or roots, right, they're always going to come as conjugate pairs, like a plus bi, a minus bi. Conjugate pairs, they come together. Same thing with if these are all rational numbers here in front, they're not irrational, you don't see any square roots of 5 or square root of 7 like that. Then if you have something of the form, let's say 1 plus root 2, you're going to have the conjugate, 1 minus root 2. So those also come together as conjugate pairs. So you'll notice that. But the key here on this problem was really to find at least one of the roots here so that we could bring it from a cubic down to a quadratic and find the remaining ones. So let's take a look at another example. Okay, if you're getting the hang of this, see if you can try example number 3 now. So same process, we're going to take all the factors of the constant divided by all the factors of the leading coefficient. So what goes into 10? It could be plus or minus 1, 2, 5, or 10 divided by what are the factors of the leading coefficient? That's just going to be 1. Okay, so now we need to test them and see what we can find here. So I'm going to start with some small numbers, just maybe start with a positive 1. We've got our coefficients. There's not any missing terms. And we're going to drop down that first number. Now I was thinking, one of my math teachers a long time ago, they kind of made a little dance to this. So they'd say, drop down the first number, and then they'd multiply on the diagonal, add straight down. They would kind of do like a little song and dance. And I think about it a little bit now when I do this, because it's like kind of repetitive. Multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal. Of course, they got into it a lot more than I am right now. But it was kind of funny. It kind of helps you remember, you know, that pattern. Okay, so now we've taken it down from a 4th degree to a 3rd degree. Now there's a couple different options here. Okay, one option is you could try 1 again. Now it's possible that 1 is what we call a double 0 or a multiplicity of 2, meaning it recurs twice. And so it could be 1 again, and you might want to test 1 again. You could also try one of these other possibilities like 2 or 5 or 10 or -2, -5, -10. But I notice here that this is actually factorable by grouping. So let's kind of go over that a little bit. So this is 1x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x plus 10. Again, it always goes down by 1 degree. So what you do is you group the first two terms and you group the last two terms, and we're going to factor out our greatest common factor here, which in this case is x squared. Here we can factor out a -2 out of both of these terms. And notice what we have here. In this group, we have an x minus 5. In this group, we have an x minus 5. If we factor out that x minus 5, we're left with x squared minus 2. Now, what we can do that we have a factor, we can set the factors equal to 0 and find those remaining zeros. So let's go ahead and do that. So if I set x minus 5 equal to 0, that's pretty easy. Add 5 to both sides, x equals 5. We already found 1 was a 0. And we can also set x squared minus 2 equal to 0. So add 2 to both sides. Okay, and take the square root of both sides. Remember, when you take the square root of both sides, you get 2 answers, plus or minus. Okay, so plus or minus square root of 2. So again, notice these are coming as conjugate pairs. Okay, these are irrational solutions, but they come as conjugate pairs because all our coefficients here, all these numbers are rational, right? So that's interesting. So whatever the degree is, like if it's 4th degree, that's how many zeros you're going to have. You're going to have 4. If it's a 3rd degree, you're going to have 3. Now that's counting whether they're imaginary, like we had in one of our problems so far, or they're irrational, or if they're repeated zeros, meaning you could have like 1 3 times, okay? So if you count those multiplicities, all the zeros are going to add up to whatever that highest power is, okay, whatever the degree of the polynomial is. So let's go ahead and do another example. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can do example number 4 here on your own, and we'll go through it together. While you're doing that, I just want to let you know that I've got 2 courses for sale. I've got an Algebra 1 and an Algebra 2/College Algebra video course for sale. You can check the link in the description or over on my website. And those courses, I take you through 85 in one of the courses and 87 lessons in the other course, walking you through each concept with examples and problems for you to practice, and we go through them, and they just build on each other, each successive lesson. So if you're studying those classes or want to review or just want to go deeper with me learning math, you can check those courses out. Also, I've been putting additional videos on my members section of my YouTube channel, Mario's Math Tutoring. So if you want additional videos like some final exam reviews or ACT, SAT videos or algebra readiness, and I'm going to be continually adding some additional videos as we go here. But if you want to check out those additional videos, become a member and join at that additional videos level. You can also join as a supporter if you want to help me out and just support the channel. Some different options there. So let's go over this last example together. Actually, this is not the last one. We got 2 more to go. What did you get here for the possible rational zeros? Well, we've got all the factors of the constant, which would be the numbers that go into 5, so that's plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 5, divided by all the factors of the leading coefficient, which would be plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 3. So again, we could have 1 or -1, 1/3, -1/3, 5, -5, 5/3, and -5/3. You can go ahead and test them, see which one gives you 0. Now, of course, I created these problems myself, so I kind of know what the answer is. So just in the interest of saving time and being efficient, let's test -1/3, okay? And each one of these examples, you might have noticed this if you've been following my channel for a while, I try to make each example obviously a little bit different and try to target it from different angles. And so you'll notice that in this video as well, that each example, I'm trying to show you something a little bit different and a little bit new. So drop down that first number, multiply on the diagonal, and add straight down. Multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down. So that's 0 remainder. Okay, that tells you that -1/3 is a 0. It's going to cross the x-axis at -1/3. That also brings us down from a 3rd degree to a 2nd degree. Okay, now we can try to factor this. It looks like you can divide out a 3. That's going to give us x squared minus 4x plus 5. We could try to factor this. Are there 2 numbers that multiply to 5 but add to -4? No. So what we could do is we could either do the quadratic formula or completing the square. So for example, if I was to set this equal to 0, x squared minus 4x plus 5 equals 0. Subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, I'm going to show you the completing the square method. And again, I have videos on all these different techniques, so if you want to review, you can do that. You take half of this b value, the number in front of the x, and you square it. So half of -4 is -2. -2 squared is 4. If I add 4 to the left side of the equation, I have to add 4 to the right to keep it balanced, right? Then we can factor this. It's a perfect square. It'll always be half of this b value. So if this is plus 4x, this would be plus 2. And -5 plus 4 is -1. Now we've completed the square, we're going to take the square root of both sides. The square and square root, those are inverses, they cancel. We're left with x minus 2 equals plus or minus I. Remember, square root of -1 is I. Again, remember, plus or minus when you take the square root of both sides. Then if we add 2 to both sides, we're going to get x equals 2 plus or minus I. Or you could write it as 2 plus I, 2 minus I, and -1/3. Those are all of our zeros. If we plug these in, it's going to make the equation equal to 0. Let's take a look at one last example. If you can try this last example, and we'll go through it together. We've got this polynomial here. We want to find the zeros. And remember, we take all the factors of the constant divided by all the factors of the leading coefficient. So that's going to be plus or minus 1 or 3 divided by the leading coefficient, in this case, factors of 1, which is just 1. So not too many options here, right? So let's start with 1, see if that's a 0. We're going to take our coefficients, 1, -7, 13, -3. Again, watching for any missing terms, we'd have to put a 0 or a placeholder. We drop down that first number, we multiply on the diagonal, and we add straight down. Multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down. We don't get 0, so that tells us 1 is not a 0. Let's go ahead and maybe try 3 over 1, which is 3. And same coefficients, 1, -7, 13, and -3. Drop down that first number, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down, multiply on the diagonal, add straight down. Okay, we did get 0. That tells us that 3 is a 0, an x-intercept, and it brings us down from x cubed to x squared. So it goes down by 1 degree. Now, this does not look factorable. We could do the completing the square like we did in the last example, but let's practice doing the quadratic formula. So remember, the quadratic formula, it's this one here. It's -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. And here you can see a is 1, b is -4, and c is 1. So let's go ahead and plug those in. So the -b, or the opposite of b, would be +4 plus or minus b squared, so that's -4 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 1, all divided by 2a, which a is 1. Okay, let's go ahead and simplify now. So we have x equals 4 plus or minus, now this is 16 minus 4, which is the square root of 12, over 2 times 1, which is 2. Square root of 12 is 4 times 3, and square root of 4 we know is 2. So this is 4 plus or minus 2 root 3. And we can divide both of these groups by 2. You want to make sure you do both of them. That's going to give you 2 plus or minus square root of 3. So that's 2 plus square root of 3 and 2 minus square root of 3 and 3. So these represent your x-intercepts. Notice we had 3 because it's a third degree, and you got it. So if you want to go deeper with the rational root theorem, I talk about in that video right there some more techniques like upper bound, lower bound, Descartes' rule of signs, and we go a little bit deeper into techniques to make this a little bit quicker, a little bit simpler for identifying the zeros. So go ahead and follow me over to that video right there. We'll get some practice. I'll see you over in that video.